Out at a buddy's place right now. He just got this farm. I usually never do TSI in the middle of the summer, but we're doing it very carefully. I would always do it when it's dormant. I don't want trees going into like oak trees, so we're just doing it really carefully. We know what we're cutting. We're just cutting some of the junk out, and we're making sure we don't cut oaks and cut things where it can create problems, but we're doing it very carefully so he can go into this hunting season with structure, with bedding, with some new browse that's already popping up. And we're just spending a few days at really improving this farm. We're not gonna go through the whole thing and do the TSI and the whole thing. We're just gonna do a pocket like every 200 yards. And that way, instead of being wide open like it was, this was wide open and it was problematic. There was no browse, very little bedding. Now we're gonna have 20, 30 bedding areas just scattered throughout this farm. The browse is gonna come up. During hunting season, they'll be packed in there where they weren't before. And this farm really didn't hold a lot of deer before, so this should change really, really quickly. And like I said, we're just getting pockets every couple hundred yards, maybe a half acre to an acre, and opening it up, a little hinging, getting rid of some of the junk trees, and there's gonna be a lot of structure on the ground now. So this season, even this hunting season, it'll make a huge difference for the amount of bucks on here, the amount of deer utilizing the property, and just all the other benefits of timber stand improvement. Right here we did some edge feathering, and a lot of woody growth will start in there, some new trees. And what we did is we made sure we didn't get anything that would tip into like the oaks, but we freed up all these oaks, and there was hickories in here about 10 times thicker than they really should have been. So we freed up a lot of the walnuts down in the bottom, and all these oaks can regenerate. And we're seeing all these baby oaks as we go throughout here that are just getting shaded out and dying. So now those can come up, and this edge feathering, the amount of bedding that'll be in here this fall and every year after, it'll just continue to get better and better. So right before this year, there was really no usage right here. It was wide open, no deer bedding, and now we've got bedding, we've got browse, we've got structural cover that we can't see through. It'll have the bucks chasing throughout there. It'll have the doe, just so many new bedding areas and new structure in the forest. So this is kind of our edge feathering area, and we'll show you something a little deeper in the timber as well. We cut through most of these. Some of them we just topped them off, and some of them will reshoot some growth. And again, you know, this is something that 99% of the time we're doing in the wintertime, and we'll show you that, and we've done a lot of videos on that in the past. But these new stumps will put on a lot of shoots, and then just the sunlight that gets in here with, you know, maybe 2 months worth of growth left, there'll be a lot of new browse, forbs, and legumes that come up here. And then we did hinge about maybe every 10th tree. So that'll be a tree that'll stay out there. It'll sprout up. I didn't want to hinge cut too many trees because that just ends up being a disaster. So we got about 10% of them hinge cut strategically throughout here. So the bottoms at a lot of these farms, I mean, right now it looks fairly thick with some of these forbs, but once it hits fall, it really dies back and these bottoms become wide open. And I saw this bottom in the winter, and I mean, it was absolutely wide open. You could see hundreds and hundreds of yards. So we took some of the really good walnuts and different oaks in here, made sure not to touch those, and then you'll just see examples of where we just laid down the junk trees in here. Like the examples to my right would be bitternut hickory. And we just peeled those away from the crop trees, from the good trees, laid them down. We hinged some of them we topped off, but it creates all this structure in this bottom. And the way I would describe a bottom a lot of times, it's like an empty pond. You dig a pond, there's no structure, it's just flat banks. And that's the way these bottom grounds in the timber get. And now there's just structure everywhere. There's trees falling all over, there's visual barriers, there's new sunlight coming in here for woody growth to start and different legumes and forbs. The bottoms are just filled with structure now, and it's a little bit tough to see why we did everything, but you know, and again, we'll do a lot more this winter, but we strategically picked the right species of trees to tip over here. Now there's all this structure in here. If you need any help with this, I would reach out to your state forester for a plan, and there is some cost share available. I would check out Iowa Whitetail. There's a lot of non-biased advice there with top-notch people that can give you information without a bias. If you need help getting started, shoot me a message. I can tell you good people to do these projects. I know quite a few throughout the Midwest, so there's a lot of different options, but I would get going on this now with a consult as soon as possible, so maybe even this winter you could be ready to go right when season ends.